कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। जयत्याश्रितसन्त्रास ध्वान्तविध्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः परमव्योमभास्करः।
श्रीमते निगमान्त महादेशिकाय नमः. We did notice about the energy boost that was given by Agastya Mahamuni to Rama in the form of Aditya Hridayam. Yes, with a word of caution. I did explain the namas that are mentioned in the Aditya Hridayam with a footnote given by the commentator that in the manuscripts available, Aditya Hridayam was not spotted in the Valmiki Ramayana, and since it was extremely popular, he commented upon it. Nevertheless, that composition is a very beautiful composition. Rama was, of course, filled with energy, and then happened the final yuddham between Rama and Ravana. How was that yuddham? See, as a poet, Valmiki is duty bound to give similes and metaphors and onomatopoeia and other degrees of expression and comparison that will suit the imagination of the readers. But here he says, Gandharva Sarasam Sangha Drishtva Yuddhamanupamam. All the Gandharvas, Yakshas, Kinnaras, Devas, they had all gathered to witness this momentous moment. That was an occasion where such a blistering attack was happening on both sides. That is when Valmiki says, Gaganam Gaganakaram. When you look at the sky, probably you or I will be wondering, where does it end? Is there a proper simile to the sky which is so vast, infinite in nature? No. Valmiki says yes. Though there isn't one object available, I can say that there is one simile to the sky. What is it? The sky. So the sky is the exact simile to a sky. Gaganam Gaganakaram. When we look at the oceans, how vast, you can't see the other side. Is there a proper simile to the oceans? Yes, the oceans, he says. Sagaram Sagaropamaha. Sagaraha Sagaropamaha. Gaganam Gaganakaram. Sagaraha Sagaropamaha. Similarly, he says, to the yuddham that happened between Rama and Ravana, what is the comparison? Rama Ravanayor yuddham, Rama Ravanayoriva. So if at all there has to be a comparison made between Rama Ravana yuddham, it has to be made to Rama Ravana yuddham itself. Such fierce was the battle. Now, as Rama was able to behead Ravana, his head kept cropping up. This was a challenge to Rama. Finally, while Mathani proceeded in the chariot, taking Rama closer to Ravana, Rama invoked the ultimate astram called as Brahmastram, where Valmiki describes how that arrow looked like. The frontal part of the arrow was as blazing as the fire from the biggest star known to us closest to the earth, which is the sun. The middle part that connects the frontal sharp part, that shaft, looked like the Akasha Vastu, Akasha Tattva. The end looked or came with the fierce width of that of a Vayu. And the weight of the astram was similar or combined of Meru Mandaram and Prithvi together. So that Brahmastram was released by Rama finally on Ravana, and that struck Ravana. Even when it struck Ravana, Valmiki says Rama released it in such a way that he would not know the pain. See, when a surgery happens to us, wouldn't the doctor invite an anesthesia specialist who will either give a general anesthesia or a local anesthesia so that we feel numb when the surgery happens? Here, Ajnata Vrana Vedanat, so that Ravana does not sense the pain. When Ravana fell, our Acharyas say, when he fell on earth because of the Brahmastra Prayogam, he did not fall this way where his face would face the earth, because it seems he was worried if Rama would construe this that Ravana surrendering or doing Sharanagati. So he fell this way. Ravana was finally fallen. The moment of Ravana's death reached different parts of Lanka, and people started gathering to see, bid farewell to their king. The final rites had to be done. Even today in Lanka, you have many places like Verangantota. Then you have got Yahangala. You have got Dunuvila. These are all places associated with the Ramayana. These words are of the Sinhalese origin. It means where the body was kept. These words, Yahangala, where the body was kept. From where the arrow was shot, Dunuvila. So Rama shot an arrow. You can go to Lanka and you can see that place, Dunuvila, from where the arrow was shot. Where his body was kept, that is also there. So today, the Sri Lankan tradition associates itself completely with the Ramayana. His body was kept. That is when Mandodari, Ravana Patni Mandodari, she comes and laments over the death of her husband. She says, Vyattamesha Mahayogi Paramatma Sanatanaha Aradi Madhya Nidhanaha Mahataf Paramo Mahan Tamasaf Paramo Data Shankha Chakra Gadadharaha Srivatsavakshaha Nitya Shrihi Ajayaha Shashvato Dhruvaha Manusham Rupamasthaya Vishnu Satya Parakramaha Sarvaihi Parivruto Devair Vanaratvamupagataihi Sarvalokeshwara Shriman Lokanam Hitakamyaya Sarakshasa Parivaram Deva Shatrum Bhayavaham. As she came to the Ranabhumi with her hair open, that was the only instance when people used to keep their hair open. So she came with her hair open and she started lamenting over the death of her husband. She initially abused Rama. She said, "What have you done, Rama? You have given me Vaidhavyam, widowhood." Then as she reconciles, she starts praising Rama. Remember, in the Ramayana, especially in Yuddha Kandam, this stuti by Mandodari, which is called Mandodara Stuti on Rama, is extremely important in the Ramayana. There have been famed commentators like Periyavachan Pillai who have given such exquisite commentary to these shlokas. He gives an introduction. Says Vyaktamesha Mahayogi Paramatma Sanatanaha. She says he is Paramatma Narayana and so on and so forth. How did she know? For which the commentator gives an introduction. He says, in most cases which are doubtless, even your inner thoughts become pratyaksha. You don't have to perceive it through your external eyes. Even the very thought, then it is doubtless, will say that your inner thought itself is pratyaksha, which means, for example, we know looking at the child itself that the child carries features of his father. You will not even doubt because you are very doubtless that he is the father to this child. But you have not seen when the child was born, nor when the child was created. So pratyaksha wise, you do not know how to support this. But you know for sure that he is this child's father. So at times your inner thoughts become pratyaksham. Here she says that I am able to perceive within me that you are Paramatma, and I'm able to see that also in front of my eyes that you are Paramatma. Then she had heard about the death of all the other Rakshasas, the demons, along with Ravana. So she knew that he carries the characteristics of Paramatma. Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, Parasya Shaktir Vividhair Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. So essentially, these are the characteristics of Paramatma which she has heard and seen in Rama. Vichitra Shaktayaschaita Nrupam Yatra Pratisthitaha, says Vishnu Purana. Ramayanam says, Sita Lakshmir Bhavan Vishnu. Sita is nobody but Lakshmi, and Rama is nobody but Narayana or Vishnu. So, this establishment that Rama and Sita are not an ordinary couple but the incarnation of the Divya Damapati is proven through the words of Mandodari. What else did she say? Vyaktamesha Mahayogi. She says it is very clear. It is not as if it is blurred or half covered. Vyaktamesha Mahayogi. Vyaktam Yesha, the one whom I see in front of me, this Rama. Vyaktam, it is very clear that Mahayogi he is. Why does she say Mahayogi? Now, whom is she trying to tell all this to? First, we need to understand. She praises Rama. Why? Is it because she is very insecure that her husband is dead and so she is praising? No. If she wants to convey this to her husband is dead. Why is she doing that? Is where the commentator says, it has always been in the Indian tradition that if a person is dead in the family, when the dead body is kept in the house, people will feel as if like talking to him. Though the body can't hear, the Atma is gone. But still, they would keep their hair open and they will lament to the body. So is she doing to Ravana, because while he was living, he was not ready to listen. At least now he will listen. So she says, Vyaktamesha Mahayogi. Why is he Mahayogi? Because it is not normal for a person who has been told to become a Raja. When he is told that you have to go to the forest, he says okay. He comes to the forest, the rishis say, please give us Abhay Pradhanam, he says okay. When the Rakshasas fight, he fights them fiercely. When his wife is kidnapped, he doesn't go back to Ayodhya, rather he uses the help of the Vanaras, constructs a setu, comes to their very own land and defeats them. Is it normal to see a Kshatriya do this? He is a Mahayogi with his Tapo Shakti and perseverance, he is able to do it. Is he Paramatma? Yes. So she says, Vyaktamesha Mahayogi, he is Mahayogi. Who else is he? Paramatma. He is Paroma Yasyasa Paramatma. Beyond whom there is none. He is that Paramatma. Then comes another question. Sir, there are many instances where the Atma, Jivatma, which has got Moksham, Muktatma state is called Paramatma. Yasmat Param Na Paramasti Kinchit. So that should be the definition. But there are many instances. Paramatmeti Chapyukto Dehesmin Purushaha Paraha, says Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So in certain cases, Muktatma is referred to as Paramatma. Is he that Muktatma who is called Paramatma, or is he the real Paramatma? That is when, to remove that doubt, she says, Paramatma Sanatanaha. He is the eternal, timeless Paramatma. So, she removes this doubt. But further, how does she establish the exact characteristics of Parabrahman here? We will see in the next episode.
Jayatyashruta Santrasa Dhvanta Vidvamsa Nodayaha Prabhavan Sitaya Devya Paramavyoma Bhaskaraha. Ramayana is such a beautiful itihasa sreshtham that links different parts of Bharatadesham, and just not Bharatam, different parts of the subcontinent. 292 episodes in simple English for 15 minutes every day on the Ramayana. We began on the Rama Navami and we are going to conclude on the Makara Shankaranti Uttarayana Punyakala. This is a lamp that you see in front of me. My great grandfather, my mother's father's father, Pundi, Sri Rangaswamy Iyengar, used to recite the verses of the Valmiki Ramayana religiously every day for 365 days a year for a period of 40 years. and this is the lamp that he used to light. And here are the two bound books which are over 100 years old, which he used to read the verses of the Ramayana from. And here is the wooden stand, the book stand that he used to keep the Ramayana in. Fortunately, I have bequeathed all of them. My great-grandfather was called Pattabhirama Iyengar. My maternal grandfather was called Veera Raghavan. My daughter is named after Sita Devi as Kshitija. Everything in our family has an association with the Ramayana. I am sure, 100% sure, each of you will have an association with the Ramayana, either with a name, either in the form of a book, either in the form of a lamp, either in the form of a beautiful murti of Rama, either in the form of a beautiful painting of Rama. So let's use the hashtag Ramayana for us and tag and let us know how much each of us have loved Rama, Sita, the entire Rama Parivar and the Ramayana. This is a moment which we can create with very little efforts from our side till the inauguration of the grand Sri Rama Janmabhoomi temple. Jai Shri Ram.
Namaskara Mastikas. I'm tentatively scheduled to travel to Abu Dhabi and Dubai in the Met February, to 7 cities in the countries of Australia and New Zealand, namely Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Auckland and Wellington between the 25th of February and the 25th of March. I'm scheduled to travel to Singapore either in the month of April or January, and later I'll be rendering discourses in New Jersey, Boston, Maryland, Pittsburgh, and then in St. Louis and Indianapolis in the month of July. I'm sure you would love to share this message with your friends and relatives.
Dear Astika reader, I'm happy to be authoring a 2-part book on the Ramayana in English. The first part is slated for release in the year 2024. The book aims to recreate and retell the Ramayana of Valmiki, conforming to the ancient commentaries and other allied literature. To receive notifications of the book release, kindly register with www.deshikadaya.org/books. Namaskaram.